So, picture this, a world that has ended. Everything's gone. The great cataclysm, Ragnarok, has come and gone, leaving behind nothing but, well, silence and ash. But then, out of that silence, something new begins to stir. A new world taking its very first breaths. This is a story about how you begin again, not just by stacking stones, but by rebuilding a soul.
And that right there, that's the heart of this whole thing. You see, the survivors, they didn't just use wood and iron to remake their world. No, they used ceremony. They used intention. They used ritual. Every single act was like a deliberate thread of light, weaving a new cosmic fabric that just couldn't be broken.
It's a huge question, isn't it? I mean, when the old gods are gone, the old rules are shattered, what do you build on? For this new humanity, the answer wasn't about looking backward. It was about forging a totally new path forward, one that was grounded in these deliberate, meaningful actions. So where do you possibly start? Well, you start from within. Before a single house could be raised, the human spirit itself had to be reforged. So the very first ritual, it wasn't about building something physical. It was about building character. It was about creating a foundation of integrity out of the ashes of the old world.
And listen to this, the setting itself is just packed with meaning. This first big ceremony happens under a brand new constellation called the Hammer of Magni. This honors the dwarven smiths, right? The master craftsmen who gave them the tools for reconstruction in the first place. It's this powerful nod of respect for the skills that would literally shape their future. The ritual itself is beautiful. It's simple, but so deep. Each person steps up and strikes a sacred block of iron. And as they do, they recite the 9 noble virtues: courage, truth, honor, you know the list. So the physical act becomes a spiritual one. They're tempering their own spirits with these principles, just like a blacksmith tempers steel in a fire.
Now here's what gives this whole thing its power. They actually believed that the sparks flying up from the hammer were literally catching the starlight from that constellation. And that simple belief, it transforms a mundane act of labor into something sacred. It bridges the gap between their work and a divine purpose, meaning every nail they hammer is infused with a blessing. And the end goal was crystal clear. By forging themselves first, they made sure that everything else they built, their homes, their society, their entire future, would stand on this unshakable foundation of integrity. All right, so once the self was forged, what's next? The next step was to connect with the world beyond them. Humanity wasn't alone anymore, and they knew their survival meant building new kinds of relationships with the other beings and realms that now shared their reborn world. And this shows just how much their whole worldview had changed. The old way, the elf bloat, that was all about appeasing the elves. It was a ritual born from fear, from uncertainty. But the new way, the Feast of Ljosa Alfar, is completely different. It's not about trying to buy them off. It's a celebration of just existing together, an act of pure gratitude for the beauty of the world they all get to share. This feast happens when a special constellation, the Shining One's path, is at its highest point in the sky. And the offerings are simple things like honeyed milk and golden grains. They aren't a payment, they're an invitation. The air fills with these soft chants that are meant to harmonize with the new Bifrost Bridge itself, creating this incredible sense of peace. It's just a quiet, shared moment of awe.
But connection wasn't just about celebrating. It was also about communication. The next ritual, the Vigil of Ratatoskr, is all about receiving wisdom. It's about learning to listen, not with your ears, but with your soul, to the quiet truths that travel across the cosmos. So during the new moon, seekers go and sit in silence under these young trees, the descendants of the great world tree, Yggdrasil. They're listening for what they call the whispers of the bark, insights carried between the realms. Any wisdom they receive, they carve into runic staves, and then they share it openly with the whole community. This practice made sure that the lines of communication between worlds stayed pure, not corrupted by the gossip and bad information of the old world. Okay, so they've connected with themselves and with others. Now they turn their attention to the earth itself. The world was deeply scarred by Ragnarok, and to live in it, they had to learn how to heal it and also how to celebrate its new life. This cleansing ceremony is called Yr's Breath, and it happens under the Healer's Hands constellation. Priests and herbalists take the very first plants that grew in the reborn fields of Ida Valur and use their sacred smoke. This smoke is meant to purify the land and the people, to heal that deep, lingering trauma of a broken world. And this wasn't just symbolic. The ritual was designed to actually restore the vital energy, the life force of the earth itself.
They say the light elves are drawn to the ceremony, that they come down and lend their ethereal touch to the healing. It's this powerful reaffirmation of humanity's new job, not as conquerors of nature, but as its stewards.
And being a steward has two sides, right? While Ear's breath is this solemn, quiet ritual of healing, the ascension of the golden boar is its joyful twin. One looks at the wounds of the past to heal them, and the other looks to the future to celebrate its promise.
So just as the sun comes up over the horizon, everyone raises a horn of mead. They're toasting Gullinbursti, the golden boar, whose light now sustains them. This is just a pure celebration of solar energy, of warmth, a thanksgiving for the promise of a good harvest. It's a moment of pure collective joy, connecting the work they do on the earth with the glory of the heavens.
So what does all this add up to? You have the forging of the self, the connection to others, the healing of the earth. These aren't just separate things. They're all threads, and when you weave them together, you get the fabric of a brand new civilization. These rituals became so much more than just traditions. They were the actual heartbeat of this reborn culture. They wove together the wisdom of the elves, the guidance of new constellations, and the resilience of humanity into a daily practice of honor, awareness, and deep respect.
And through all these constant, conscious acts, their whole heritage was transformed. It stopped being a collection of sad stories about what was lost. Instead, it became a living, breathing reality that every single person had a hand in creating and upholding every single day.
Which brings us right back to where we started, to that central idea. Every single act of integrity, of gratitude, of healing, of joy becomes another thread of light. And when the whole community weaves them together, they create this eternal tapestry, a culture that's strong and beautiful and always growing.
And so this whole parable kind of leaves us with a question for ourselves, doesn't it? In our own world, which can feel pretty chaotic and disconnected sometimes, what are our rituals? What are the conscious, repeated things we do to forge our own character, to connect with the people around us, and to heal our relationship with the world? What threads of light are we choosing to weave?